Okay, and we are live finally. Y'all.
Woohoo!
Ooh, goodness. How are you all doing? I hope that people didn't think we forgot about them today. And
And I just reposted it on the gram. I keep forgetting to post on Twitter because I only use Twitter for like shenanigans and to yell at Amazon when they lose my packages. So I'm not really like super professional on Twitter. Like I was live tweeting the DMX and Snoop yesterday. That's what I do on Twitter.
get out of
But
here. Well, now everybody knows because we're definitely live now. So now everybody knows to, like, when you're on Twitter, it's because there's some foolery.
don't judge my Twitter feed. It's like brazen after dark during the daytime. So and my profile says it's mostly shenanigans with a smidge of blah. So
Listen, I don't even go on Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but for me, Twitter is like the digital equivalent of people just shouting out the window at each other, and like you just kind of catch streams of conversations or bits of conversations if you happen to be tuned in to the right window. So
yeah,
yeah.
And as internet granny extraordinaire, I don't have the Twitters.
Yeah, I think I got it for a lawyer project. We were doing some experiment or something. I don't know,
you
but
don't have to be everywhere. A lot of people think they need to be on all the social medias, and you really don't. Like Instagram works best for me, so that's where I am. I find clients on Instagram, so that's where I am. I don't really get people like that on Twitter that are looking to me for like legal stuff, so I don't really bother with it too much.
yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I need to be everywhere. I, frankly, as today proves, sometimes struggle to be in the places where I am. So,
There we go.
Yeah. So how have you guys been this week? Have you been having a good week so far? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I hear something that sounds like somebody's small dog breathing into the microphone. I'm like, what am I doing that's causing that?
oh, I don't know.
But not spotting a source. But yeah, no, it's been a busy week of like for me, I haven't had to talk to a bunch of people, but trying to get a lot of stuff done. And so that list has been long. So just kind of managing that and sleep and energy. And I did not do my food things that I should do this week. And so I am seeing like, oh yes, so turns out that system really does make a difference. Get back on the stick.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely been more. I have had a more client-facing week, and it takes. Well, first of all, I love talking to our clients. So this is my old chair that I love that makes a lot of noise, but it doesn't breathe into the microphone. So Alicia, I still don't know what that was, but but yeah, but it requires active listening and sort of right there, face to face, following along, blah blah blah, and that I've come to realize requires its own energy source. I wouldn't necessarily characterize myself as an introvert, but I am also not energized by lots of people interaction. Like I do have to recover from that. So it's been a little bit of that. It's been a little bit of that this week, but great though. I mean, just great. So I won't be heard to complain about anybody except for the man at the post office yesterday. I had to make a rare venture to outside, and it was to the post office, and because I had messed up something and couldn't resolve it digitally, so I needed to go to the physical location. Fine. Every person in the post office, there might have been 4 or 5 customers, and some of the employees who are working there, everybody is masked up. There are panels for people to be between, so People are physically distancing and doing all of the smart things. Well, then one fella comes in and he has his big package and he's, in his hurry. And he bypasses the markings on the floor that show us how far is a reasonably safe distance. Fine, no problem. I just adjust myself. We'll maintain the distance. The marking on the floor is not as important as the distance. No problem. Then the line advances, and he gets really close to me, and I turned and I said, sir, why don't we keep as much physical distance between us as possible since you're not wearing a mask? At all. Like, no facial covering in the least. And so he says, okay, well, that's fine. But the mask will only protect you if you have the virus. And I looked at him, and I looked at all of these, at these bemasked people in the post office line. And I was like, okay, sir, listen, congratulations, right? Because you are clearly the genius here, right? You
figured it out.
Smartest
You
one
got
of the
it.
bunch.
Yep. There's the cheat code right there, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, how are you doing, Bianca, other than having a dense week?
I'm alive, so I praise God for that.
Listen.
That's coming.
Hey.
It's been an interesting week. Not so busy because I've been in an immigration law conference all week.
Mm-hmm.
So digitally, so it's been like being in law school all over again, just in classes for like an hour at a time, and having tech issues and being on Zoom calls and people asking for us to put our videos on. Like, we gotta normalize just people are not gonna be on video in Zoom calls. Like, we look a mess, we're not wearing bras, we don't know where our pants are, like, just chill, we're there. Just be happy that we're there, just look at our pretty faces and don't worry about like what real life looks like.
I do think that Zoom fatigue is a very real thing. At some point you do need a break from the screen. But I am glad that you were in this immigration law conference all week because you have come here with some immigration updates and hot tips. And
Lots of knowledge.
all of it. I'm really excited about what we're going to be talking about today. So for those of you who are just tuning in, Alicia, I'm sorry, did I cut you off? What were you going to say?
Who are you? Who are you people on my screen?
Listen.
I don't know you.
Listen, didn't you just hear us say some days we're not sure? I am Jill Bates.
It is. I was getting ready yesterday. Like, I texted Jill. I was like, I'm getting ready. Like, I was literally about to like just get my edges done, throw a little lip gloss on, getting ready because I thought it was Thursday. And then I looked and I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's Wednesday night. I don't have to show up today. Yeah.
Bianca, Alicia called me and legit woke me up. I was like, I was down for the count.
Yeah.
And the position I was laying in, it looked like, honestly, maybe I was sitting and then just kind of
just fell over.
Because I woke up at a very odd angle. Anyway, I am Jill Bates Moore. I am one half of Dahlia Law Group, which is a small but mighty law firm in sunny Oakland, California, where I work with my partner Alicia to make legacy and estate planning accessible for everybody, because everybody has a legacy worth planning for. Who are you all?
I'm Bianca Jordan. I am the owner and founder of Brazen Legal, which is an immigration law firm in Massachusetts. I, too, like to increase accessibility to immigration services. I find that a lot of communities that need them the most don't have access to attorneys. especially attorneys that don't cost like $7 million an hour. So I try to keep my services affordable while also being able to pay Sally Mae so she can leave me alone. But I try to help people. One thing that I'm really passionate about is helping people to secure their immigration status. So going from something temporary like DACA or TPS to a green card, which can actually lead to citizenship. So I'm really passionate about that. I'm really passionate about helping people to apply for U.S. citizenship. So if for no other reason than to, legacy building and to vote, because as we learned, elections have consequences.
Indeed,
so that's pretty much
indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That's a word.
And who are you, lady in the middle?
I am Alicia Holland, the other half of Dahlia Law Group, the color bridge of the day. Between Jill's red and white confetti wall and Bianca's gray and black, of course I'm in the middle, like mixing it all together.
There we go.
Loving the red lip today.
Quite.
Why, thank you.
Quite nice. It's quite nice.
I haven't worn makeup in I don't know how long.
You know what? I'm not really a makeup girl, so I generally just don't. But people have been showing up with these amazing lips, and there were some lashes that happened. One of my cousins had these beautiful lashes on. I was like, oh, that's lovely. Don't we all need those? And she was like, maybe. So.
The one thing I've loved about COVID, if you can say there's anything you love about COVID, is the mask. So I don't have to deal with anything. I don't have to wear makeup. I literally just put a mask on. You see my eyes, barely because of my glasses. I love it.
Oh, that mask.
Get it?
You said mask, and I was like, wait, that's a Zoom setting that you can have a mask
No.
on?
No, we're not doing this. I won't do this with you. I will not do this with you, Alicia Holland.
Oh, wait.
I saw your eyes too. You were like, oh, wait, no, where do I? Let me look and see what that's about. Mercy. Okay, so now that you all, if you're here live or if you watch this on a replay, now that you know way more about us and our foolishness than you probably bargained for, I have one thing to say to you. You're welcome. Okay, so today we are here for our special biweekly segment that we do with Brazen Legal, that really highlights the place where immigration law and policy and legacy and estate planning meet up. I think sometimes because immigration is such a high stakes game, it is very easy to be focused exclusively on getting the status, moving from temporary to permanent status, getting citizenship on deck, or solving for an emergency situation that may be occurring, that it is easy to be tonally focused on that, and sometimes we can miss the benefits of thinking about some of these legacy and estate planning overlays that are a little wider. So that is why we are here. What we're going to be talking about today is advanced healthcare directives, and specifically advanced healthcare directives, but situated in the context of immigration law. So we're gonna see if we can do that. We had a really beautiful conversation about this the other night, and so we are going to see if we can replicate that. So if you are here and that is why you are here, great. We hope we don't let you down. And if you are here and you're not sure why you're here, just stay so that you can get this good information and pass it on to somebody else. And yeah, with that, I am actually gonna slow my voice down a bit and let Alicia and Bianca take it over.
Super, thanks for that wonderful intro. So to think about what an advanced healthcare directive is, just as a baseline, and then I have questions for you, Bianca, to talk about the implications for that, for for immigration work and the crossover there. So what an advanced healthcare directive is, a term that you will also sometimes hear, is a healthcare power of attorney. as well. And so, what we are doing in whether it be under the title of Advanced Healthcare Directive or Healthcare Power of Attorney is saying with our own voice, if something's going on with me medically or physically where I cannot speak to decisions for my own care and treatment, who I want to be in charge of making those decisions for me, giving those people some guidance and instructions about the types of decisions that I would want them to make on my behalf and how I want to be cared for, and then actually going so far as to give them the power to do it and to say when that power kicks in. So, in the series that we have been doing a couple of weeks ago, we talked about these documents. And one of the biggest points that we started with this one is that everybody needs one. I believe we called it everybody.
Everybody.
Because we mean all the everybody.
RRR.
Need this.
Apostrophe. Body.
And their mama.
Everybody.
Yes.
And your mama them.
Everybody. And so one of the places where what we have seen and heard come up is kind of like what Jill was saying, when people are so tunnel visioned on their status immigration wise and just the safety from that standpoint, they are not necessarily thinking about some of these other documents. But because you were here, and means that at any point you could be subject to the healthcare system here, then regardless of status, you were in the everybody of the needing one of these. But one of the things, Bianca, that I have questions for you about are around what does that look like when you have questions about your immigration status, or even if you don't have questions about it, but have some concern because you were either in the process of applying for citizenship or thinking about it, wherever you are on that spectrum, and being exposed to the U.S. healthcare system, and kind of what risk are there that some of us may not be thinking about there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So one common thing, which a lot of people wouldn't even think, I feel like every time I come on here with you guys, I kind of blow your mind of things that, how things go here. One common thing is if you go to the emergency room, or if you're receiving medical care, like you go to the hospital, something happens to you, you're an undocumented immigrant, for example, and God forbid you're slicing tomatoes and you slice your thumb off and now you have to go to the ER. They might try to sign you up for Medicaid or something based on your income. And that could eventually prevent you from being able to get a green card, depending on the type of Medicaid and what your status is. Oftentimes, we see this happening where people are coming to the United States with maybe a visitor's visa, and then they're maybe 9 months pregnant, and then all of a sudden they're going into labor, they're going into the hospital. The last thing they're thinking about is, how am I going to pay my medical bills? They're just in pain, they're just trying to give birth to this baby. They're not really paying attention to a lot of the medical forms and things, and they might end up signing up for Medicaid, and then that could come back to bite them when they're applying for a green card, especially when we're thinking about the new public charge rules, which basically say that if at any point in the future the government thinks that you're going to become a public charge, meaning you're going to end up on some type of public benefit, then they can deny your green card. So if they can prove that you have received a public benefit in the past, aka signing up for Medicaid when you were giving birth, that could be enough to prevent you from getting a green card in the future. A lot of times people come with visitor's visas and then they end up signing up for Medicaid. That can be a problem, but it's not a problem if you are willing to pay for your medical fees out of pocket. So I think when we're thinking about legacy planning and thinking about healthcare directives and thinking about healthcare proxies and things like that, I think it's very important for you to have those conversations with the person that you're going to nominate to do this for you, so that they're aware of your immigration status and the implications of some of the decisions that they might be making, how that might impact your immigration status in the future.
That's really important, because as you're talking about the fact that with this public charge rule that it can impact your status, the thing that pings in my brain is I was trained as a trial lawyer. And so one of the rules that we learned was sometimes you may have the sense that something is wrong. And so you just say objection. And while you're sorting it out, thinking it through, and one of the biggest ones you use is cause for speculation. And that is almost always sustained because you can't assume things. And so the fact that we can cut somebody off based on an assumption based on what? What?
Yeah, that's what the public charge rule is. It's very, it's a prospective test. They want to see if at any point in the future, will you end up on public benefits? And they can say, well, based on the past, based on the fact that you used to get food stamps or you were on Obamacare subsidies, that we think that you're going to end up on public benefits in the future, and therefore we're not going to give you your green card.
So when we talked about this the other night, it was bananas. Both Alicia and I we were approaching this from the perspective of lawyers who help with this type of planning and thinking about the power of an advanced healthcare directive and the fact that no matter one's immigration status, the likelihood that they are going to be lawfully denied healthcare if they need it is pretty low, right? It's not highly likely that you're going to get to a doctor's office or get to a hospital and need health care and not be given that health care. And so Alicia and I were thinking, well, it really makes sense to have this conversation because somebody may be undocumented or maybe in the process of applying for their citizenship or for applying for a green card, that doesn't mean that they don't have any power to decide about their health. They absolutely do. And so an advanced healthcare directive is a powerful tool that will allow someone to, one, speak about what kind of care they want. Because yes, you get to decide what kind of care you want. And guess what? You also get to decide what kind of care you don't want, right? It allows someone to decide who should be able to speak for them in a healthcare situation. So, and that person may be someone else who is undocumented or who might be on the journey toward their green card or to their citizenship. That doesn't mean that they're not allowed to speak for you. It also means that you get to decide who doesn't get to speak for you, right? So if no matter where you are on your immigration journey or where a person is on their immigration journey, these are not powers that you lose. Like, you absolutely get to say these things. And so we're excited, right? We're like, people, I don't know if people don't know that. You can never really know what people know or don't know. And it's not really my place to assume. It's just to share widely the information that I have in the hopes that it would be useful. And so we're excited and we're like, yes, make sure that that is clear and make sure that people know that. And then we said, well, Bianca, could there possibly be anything about healthcare or using an advanced healthcare directive that could be potentially problematic immigration-wise? I can't imagine that there would be. We were almost joking, right? Like, oh no, that couldn't possibly affect immigration. And lo and behold,
I ran on your parade.
Lo and behold. So, things to take away so far. One, an advanced healthcare directive is available to you. There are forms, doctor's offices have them, You can get them from the internet. You can get them if you look on on your healthcare provider's website, on a hospital website. You can get a form there. California has a form. Many states have forms. This is actually one document. And there are not many on my list. This is one legal document where I will say it's okay to Google this one. It's okay to Google this one. There are not many documents that I will say that for, but it's okay to Google this one. And make your wishes known. Absolutely do that. You get to decide what kind of care you want, who you want to speak for you, who you don't want to speak for you, and what kind of care you don't want. It is okay to do that. You have the right to do that, and you owe that to yourself to do that. That is one thing to take away. Another thing to take away is that an advance healthcare directive by itself will not hurt you. It will not hurt your immigration status. The advance healthcare directive will not. So get one and do it. Am I right about that, Bianca?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, having one can help you with your immigration case, because one of the things that, like for example, if you're married and you're trying to get a green card through a spouse, they want proof that you really are intending to live as husband and wife. So if you have a healthcare directive where you're naming your spouse as the person that you want to make decisions on your behalf, then that's extra proof to help you with your green card case.
We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
I like it.
That helps. So like a little, I like to try to give you guys a little bit of,
Yeah, look at Bianca bringing in the sunshine.
But yeah, things like that. Legacy planning actually helps your immigration case, because those are things that you can use to prove like a bona fide marriage. If you actually intended to live together as husband and wife, here's the proof. I have a will that I list somebody as. We have a healthcare proxy. This person is listed as my in case of emergency person at work. Those things actually help you for your immigration case. So legacy planning, immigration definitely go hand in hand.
Got it.
That one.
So, are there any other ways, now that we know what we know about the potential for signing up for public benefits in the healthcare office or at the hospital is frequently where that's going to happen. Are there any suggestions that we can give to people, Bianca, from the immigration standpoint about ways to avoid causing themselves problems with that? And Alicia, in the planning arena, where maybe we can put some things in the advance healthcare directive to help. Can you all give us some practical tools so that people can walk away knowing what to do, or having some ideas about what to do and not to do?
Yeah, I can't really think of any like do's and don'ts when it comes to that as far as your immigration status is concerned. I think one thing that would be important is if you don't have a solid, secure immigration status, if you're here undocumented, if you were ordered deported and didn't leave, if your immigration status is a little bit iffy, I would just make sure that the person that you're picking to be your healthcare directed, proxy or whatever, that they understand that, so that they try to limit your exposure to things such as, inadvertently signing up, for example.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I would say from the document side, to make some of that happen, what Bianca is saying, and kind of bridging what Jill was saying before about the power that you have with an advanced healthcare directive, and a power that is available to everybody, is that you can use that document to flag some of those things to your person. So I may have told you in conversation, and then I don't know if it works like this for you, but for me, when I go to sleep, some of the things leak out. And so you told me the things, and I knew the things and was committed to remembering the things, but then I went to sleep and some of them fell out. And so what I can do is, for some of those points, actually flag it on the paper in the instructions that I'm giving by way of the healthcare directive. So one of the places where we see this in people communicating things that they absolutely do not want to happen within an advanced healthcare directive are things like if they want to be an organ and tissue donor or no, if they have limitations for how they want that used. Another place where we see that is if someone has a religious objection, for instance, to a particular type of treatment, you can actually communicate that in the document that use of X treatment is against my religious beliefs. Do not use that. So if it needs to be, don't let anybody sign me up for anybody's Medicaid, because you know that that's going to have an immigration impact, and you're in the process of trying to just kind of, it just seems like such a make sure you do everything you can to keep your nose clean kind of setup, even though there should not ever be anything wrong with getting some support around your health care. But if this is the system that we're dealing with right now, then to play the game within that system for the moment, actually flagging that in the document, because then that means when your decision maker is looking at the document to make decisions on your behalf, they see it. The other thing that flags is when they hand it to the doctor, for instance, and they are looking at it, it's going to stand out to some more people. And so everybody is just going to have a finer tuned eye in the process. Because when you're in a hospital or treatment, you know, they're always the like, oh, sign this, sign this, sign that. And what I find is so often when you are in a place where someone is asking you to sign a lot of forms, they are asking you to sign a lot of forms because they know that that is the process that they have been trained on, but they don't necessarily have an understanding of the why and the implications of those forms. And so you may be coming with all the questions under the sun, and you are not going to be met with answers. Amplify that with the, if you are in pain, or because you're in the hospital because something is going on. Like when you're in the healthcare system in that regard, something is happening. And so even less of a time that you are focused and listening for keywords like that. And so flagging that for your agent so that they can be tuned in for that on your behalf can be a really useful thing that you can use those documents to do.
That's really good. I am, as you all are taking us through this, I am putting some key points up in the comments that are showing up on the screen, or that will show up on the screen in the stream or in the playback. And I think that some of the things that you've said are really, really, really important for people to remember. Because of what we know about how doctors' offices and hospitals operate, right? I mean, you get there and like Alicia was saying, you're not usually there, particularly in a hospital, and especially right now, you're not usually there because everything is okay. Right, so there's a certain amount of
the person with the bracelet on.
Right, so there's a certain amount of stress and anxiety that that goes along with being in a hospital or having to show up to the emergency room, for example. And I don't know about you all, but I don't think it's okay to assume that everybody has the same ease with reading, whether in English, which is primarily how documents in the United States are presented, in English or other languages. So somebody might not speak English all that well, or they might speak English just fine, but may not read English all that well. And that's not necessarily because they are somewhere on their immigration journey, but that could just be where they are in their lives. And those papers that you have to sign in, that you're presented with to sign in a hospital are, usually it's just like a stack of papers on a clipboard and somebody gives you those and says, sign these. So I think that what you're both saying is really important to flag that, you're not authorized to sign me up for Medicaid or for public health benefits. but you do need to make sure that I get the right care, right? Bianca, you said something when we talked about this before that I would love for you to talk about a bit more here, and that was something about questions about citizenship that show up on medical or intake documents. Can you tell us what you flagged and what's important for people to know about that?
Sure. So sometimes, depending on the hospital where you are, there might be some medical forms that are asking you for your immigration status, whether, they're asking you, are you a U.S. citizen? Do you have a green card? And sometimes, again, language barriers, people might not speak English or not really understand it well. So they might not understand what they're signing or checking off, especially if they're under the influence of drugs. Maybe they're in a lot of pain and they've been given some pain management medication. They might not be completely with it, and they might not really understand what they're signing, and they might accidentally check off that they're a U.S. citizen or something like that. That could possibly be an issue if ever immigration agencies got a hold of that. They could probably try to charge you with making a false claim to U.S. citizenship, because they can argue that you made a false claim to U.S. citizenship in order to gain a benefit, and the benefit could be access to Medicaid or access to some other type of health care. So definitely be on the lookout for that on any applications that you might have to fill out at the hospital, because false claim to U.S. citizenship is really bad. It's not waivable. If you apply for a green card and they deny it based on that, you can be placed in deportation proceedings, and there are very slim exceptions to making a false claim to U.S. citizenship. They try to get you any way they can, pretty much.
Ooh.
Okay. Sorry, something was going on with the sound. Yeah, no, I could hear you just fine, but it also sounded like Darth Vader was on the call. So, I'm so sorry about that.
That's what I was hearing.
Sorry about that. But yeah, what I heard you say, Bianca, is that even though these healthcare documents may not be government documents, right? It might just be a form that the doctor's office put together, or it might just be a form that the hospital put together. So it's not a U.S. government form necessarily. Even though it's not a government form, if you check the "Yes, I am a U.S. citizen" box on those forms, then it could cause you a really big problem with getting U.S. Legal status or citizenship, and it can be really hard to come back from that, and maybe impossible. So then, Alicia, what kind of practical tips can we give people to help with that? And I know it may run the risk of sort of being repetitious, but I think that repeating is okay here. I think that people will appreciate having some idea of what to do or not to do, even if it sounds like what they should do or not do that you said already.
Yeah, no, I think it's going through that, identifying some of those key points in your documents and making those affirmative statements. So if it is, I am not a U.S. citizen, I am here under XYZ type of visa, actually putting it in your healthcare directive. It seems kind of a thing you wouldn't necessarily think about, but something that you said, Bianca, is actually leading me to a question and wondering, I remember previously when we talked about, for instance, some of these things that you could do that could be something that you wouldn't necessarily think of that could have the impact of barring you from citizenship. And one of the things we talked about is it being hard to prove. And so what I'm wondering is if, similar to setting up a legacy and estate plan being a thing that can help bolster evidence of this is a bona fide marriage, those sorts of things, if putting some of those statements within your advanced healthcare directives of, for instance, this is my status that I'm here under, do not sign me up for these types of benefits. If I have affirmatively put it in the form to say, I don't want this, I know that I am not, if I'm not entitled to this, I don't want it, whatever the case may be, and I've gone so far as to sign it and to have it witnessed or notarized, if that could be a piece of evidence that might be useful in my immigration status case, so that if something like this comes up where somebody else just did it or signed a form, that I have something to say, I actually gave a specific instruction not to do this.
Mm-hmm. It could, because it could show that at least you understood that you don't qualify for these benefits and you don't want to be signed up for them. It can possibly help you, help you later on to show that you did not want this. You said you not only did not want it, but you specifically said don't sign you up for it. So it could help, but it wouldn't really carry that much weight, like for public charge purposes.
Got it.
So I heard Alicia, you say that if there is any question about whether or not it's okay to sign somebody up for Medicaid or for public health benefits, or to say whether they are a U.S. citizen or not, if there's any question about that, to just be clear about it in the Advanced Healthcare Directive. So if I am trying to get my U.S. citizenship or trying to get a green card in the U.S. and I have an Advanced Healthcare Directive, one, I am on the right track because I should have that. I deserve that, right? But two, I should say in my Advanced Healthcare Directive, do not sign me up for Medicaid or for public health benefits. I can also say I am not a U.S. citizen. That's true. I can do those things. But if my healthcare agent gets it wrong, then it could still cause me a problem that I might not be able to come back from with the U.S. immigration system. So I would like to just give a key point for folks who would be agents, right? So if somebody has picked you as their agent to act for them or to speak for them in their Advanced Healthcare Directive, then one thing you have to do is read that thing and know what it is okay for you to do, and what it's okay for you to say, and what it's not okay for you to do or okay for you to say. And if there are
preferably read it before the emergency,
right,
so that if you have questions, you can actually speak to the person whose document it is.
Right. While they're not in the emergency situation, right? While they can actually talk to you. Yeah. But then also, it's okay to not answer these questions. So if there is a question about U.S. citizenship and you as the healthcare agent, as the person who was picked to speak for me, or say I don't know, because they can't kick the person out of the hospital or not give them medical care because we don't know whether the person is a U.S. citizen or not. And when in doubt, it sounds like it's a good idea to just not sign up for those public health benefits. Now, what I don't know is whether somebody who qualifies for those benefits can sign up for them later and have the cost of their medical care that came before covered. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if either of you do.
I don't know.
I imagine you can sign up at a later time, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to
Why not?
Yeah, I don't see why getting a citizenship answer wrong on a doctor's office form could get you off track to your citizenship, but apparently it can't. So
As it turns out. But that's a question that I think it can be answered, and it may be a we answer it and figure it out later, because in the emergency, like, the priority needs to be getting the care that you need, not
Mhm.
as much the bill that
Right.
is generated from it. And so, thinking about hospital systems, they have social work departments, the ombudsman, who is a patient advocate. There are people and resources within that system that can help with answering those questions and what's going to be available later. And so, the bill part of it, that's one of the reasons why when you're in an emergency, they can't deny you care because we can't figure out the insurance on the front end. It's care priority one. Let's deal with the people. We'll figure out the money stuff later. And so those are questions that at that time, then, because the care has happened, ideally, we're in a situation that's non emergent. There's not as much pain, like comfort is being dealt with. And so being able to ask those questions about, okay, if I sign up for this benefit, what is the implication of that? What does that mean? And getting some understanding about that, and having your support and resource people in the room so that you can have multiple brains and ears hearing that information will be available.
Yeah. Bianca, did you want to add anything to that?
Um, I guess I can add that you also have the option to tell them that you want to pay out of pocket, so you can kind of bypass the whole sign me up for insurance thing. And it's a little bit tricky because there are some states that allow undocumented people to have access to health insurance. It's on a state basis. Like I think New Jersey is one of them, Massachusetts. So there are states that allow you to get health insurance regardless of your immigration status. It's just when it's part of the Affordable Care Act and you're getting subsidies, that's really when the issue is. But sometimes immigration will still give you a hassle if you're getting state Medicaid, because they're looking at it as you're coming in here and you're already going on public benefits. So it's definitely like if you can avoid signing up for anything, definitely do. If you're married to someone who has legal status and they have health insurance and you're on their policy, that's fine. But if you can try to avoid signing up for Medicaid without at least it sucks to say, talk to an immigration lawyer first before, but it's also one of those things where you're in the moment, you're in the hospital, you're giving birth, your finger got sliced, like you're not thinking about these things. So it's unfortunately one of those things where health is a priority and then deal with the immigration consequences on the back end. I don't want people not getting
That
care
was
that they
my
need. Yeah.
Yeah, my key takeaway in what you just said, Bianca, was before emergencies and things happen, talk with an immigration lawyer. Call Bianca. Because even if it's to get just kind of, sometimes when we may not necessarily have the funds to do all of the work, it can at least help to pay a consultation fee to just get an understanding of what we're dealing with and what we need to be looking out for, and to know what we need to be working towards so that we can do the rest of it. And so that's what I hear is it being really helpful is to talk to Bianca to kind of understand some of my key do's and some of my key don'ts, so that when I am in a position to do the work to get my immigration status settled, that I am in the absolute best position to make it work. was, was like, is that included in the Kiki?
Hmm.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a test of, is this true? I was like, I'm ready. I got my game show buzzer ready. I want to double. It's because my inclination is to double vote. Like, is it accurate? Great. Yes. Do I like it? No. And so it is a thumb up sub for the accuracy.
It's well, we don't like it.
It's like when somebody posts something on the social media that's the sad news and you hit the heart, but you're like, wait, I'm sending
Yeah,
you love, but not loving this point.
we need a dislike button. All these years we've had social media, we need a dislike button. There's no reason
Right?
why we have a dislike button. Hmm. Yes. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah. You don't have to answer it. You know, a lot of those questions are optional. They can't make you answer it. It's like those.
And they can't deny you care.
Check your, you know, what your nationality is. It's optional. And if Black isn't listed, I don't check it because, like, you know, my people made a pit stop in Haiti, so I'm Black. You know, like, so I'm one of those. Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah. Unless they told you that they want to and they understand the risks involved, or even if they don't understand the risks involved, if they told you, I'm assuming the healthcare directive is if they say they want to do something, then you have to do it. But, you know, generally speaking, carry out the people's wishes, but if you can avoid having them sign up, definitely do.
Yeah, what she said. Thanks for tuning in. Well, I said, thanks for tuning in.
Definitely.
To the folks that are here. Yeah.
Exactly. Not on Twitter, but if you do need on Twitter, what happened was I used Twitter for mostly shenanigans with a side of law. So if you follow me on Twitter, don't judge me. But I am on most social media at Brazen Lawyer. I actually live on Instagram. I'm Brazen Lawyer. I share. I have at this point I have hundreds of videos on immigration topics in both English and Haitian Creole because again I believe in providing access to quality information about immigration. So you can check out my YouTube channel. It's Brazen Lawyer, the Brazen Legal, sorry. But on social media, I'm Brazen Lawyer everywhere.
I sure can. You can find us definitely not on the Twitters. You can find us on Instagram at Dahlia Law, Dahlia, spelled like the flower. You can also find us at our website, which is www.dahlialawgroup.com, and on YouTube at Dahlia Law Group, where we are offering advice every Wednesday at 12:30 Pacific time. And all of those videos are saved so that if you are just tuning in for the first time, you can go back and check out the resources that are already available there. Thank you.
Bye.